Shalom Aleichem. Welcome to Tanya Outside In. We are in the middle of Perek Zion, page 22. Halfway down the page. First word on the line is V'nichlal b'kedusha, but we're going to drop back. We're going to go to Lechein. Pa'amim. Shinechleles b'shloish klipos tumeis. Pa'amim shinechleles v'oile b'bachinus v'medregas ha'kedusha. So just before we get into this, do you guys remember we had a week off because of Tisha B'Av, but we spoke about the moshel of the stream. Do you remember? We spoke about the moshel of the stream, and we mentioned that very heilige point of the swamp is just a meadow that's become saturated with water. So the water in the moshel was kedusha. And when that energy is siphoned off and is hacked by the klipa, so to speak, then a swamp forms. Okay, and that's called the Gimel Klipas Timaeus. The in-between bridge, the bridge between Kedusha and the Klipas Timaeus, the Gimel Klipas Timaeus, is called Klipas Noiga. And that's why it's sometimes referred to as the fourth klipa, the klipa of V. Yeah, so you've got the three klipas Timaeus, which are irredeemable and completely raw, that we can only avoid. We cannot raise them up. And then we have what's kadosh, which is mitzvah, which is things that effortlessly allude to the creator. And then we have the middle ground, which doesn't necessarily, it doesn't reveal the creator unless we do something to it. Now, we can do one of two things to it and everything in between. We can either make this klipa reveal, we can either use this klipa to reveal Hashem in the world, or we could do the opposite. We could use the klipa in a selfish way, which would conceal Hashem in the world. So now we've got, now he's explaining that sometimes, that's what he says here, and therefore sometimes this klipas reveals, the klipas noiga, sometimes it is nichleres, how's that? Absorbed into the three klipas timaeus. Upa'amim she nechleles va'oile b'bechinas medregas a kedusha, and sometimes it goes up into kedusha. The higher that means sha'atovim ma'uavba. And now I told you I don't know. There's two ways of understanding this, and I don't know. Maybe they're both true. Is remember, klipa is a husk, yeah, like a shell. So obviously the pasha pshat is you have the kedusha contained within the shell. Yeah. But we've spoken about two types of shells. We've spoken about the translucent shell and the opaque shell. So what makes the translucent shell translucent? Obviously, it has some kind of kedusha mixed in with the actual shell. So it's clear that the klipas timaeus, the shell has got no good in it whatsoever, and it completely conceals the kedusha, which is the life force of the thing. But klipas noiga, the shell itself is actually much more adin, much more how do you say that? Much more refined. How comes it's more refined? Well, obviously there's some kind of level of kedusha mixed in with the actual shell itself. So when we raise up the klipas noiga, what are we raising up? The spark which is contained within the shell, the pasha pshat, or the kedusha that is me'uv b'toich, the ovi, the actual thickness of the klipa. So I don't know the answer to that. But these are questions that come up in the Tanya, and these are wonderful questions to discuss with people. Really wonderful questions. And then what like we said many times is if you can let these questions really get under your skin and really bother you, percolate, exactly, then Hashem literally makes miracles and reveals these ideas to you in wondrous ways. Like I've told you, I'll just say this, one time I had this Torah coming down to me. It was in 2017, 7 years ago. And it was this huge Torah pouring down to me over weeks. And I kept getting stuck at points of trying to understand what the next shlav was. And loads of weird stuff happened. Just probably the weirdest thing that happened, I've said this before, I think, is I'm just in my office and there's a knock on my door. This guy that I haven't seen about 5 years just said, "Hey, Shmuel, I was just in the neighborhood. I just thought I'd pop in." I was like, "Wow, great to see you, David. Come in, sit down." He sat down. I immediately started telling him my issue. He answered it up beautifully, got up and left. That's the story. So if you want chizuk in your avodas Hashem, everyone loves to see the Rebbeinu Shalom's hand in their life, yeah? And that's really, in my opinion, that's really the ikar chizuk that you get in your avodas Hashem. Not having these deep experiences, that can also be very good as well, yeah? But when you see the Rebbeinu Shalom, like in your life, twisting things and manipulating things and doing things the toiv, that's like the best. It's really the best. So if you wanna like generate those experiences, yeah, there's lots of ways of doing it, but my favorite way of doing it is allow Inyanei Torah to drive you nuts. Things that you don't understand to just drive you nuts. And how do you do that? We'll talk to people about it. Let it be on the front of your tongue, in the front of your mind the whole time. And it should really annoy you. Like, why? How can it be like that? Or I really want to understand this. I just don't understand how this works. And talk to people and ask people. And then you'll see lots of times Hashem just open the windows and give you the answer mamash. Because the ikar thing to remember is that Hashem wants to reveal himself much more than we want to find him. Much more. He created this whole world just to be Megala himself to us. So we just got created. So, we could spend 80 years doing something else, but he's desperate, infinitely desperate to reveal himself to us. So if we open that little Pesach, he tears it open and it's inspiring.
What did you say? He wants to reveal him more than we want to find him?
For sure. He wants to reveal himself to us infinitely. We, on a good day, sometimes care a little bit. Okay, so we've got two options. And the second option is that sometimes it goes up into Kedusha, the Hainu. That means that the goodness, the toiv that is ma'uv, that is mixed within it. Again, whether that means it's the good in the actual klipa, which I think it does mean that as well. And also, obviously, the kedusha is in the thing itself, which is concealed within the klipa, not within the walls of the klipa, but actually inside the flask of the klipa. Yeah, nisbar emera v'goyve v'oile v'nichla b'kedusha. It goes up. It's separated from the ra. We extract it from the ra when we do good things with it. V'goyve v'oile v'nichla b'kedusha. It goes up and it becomes nichla back into kedusha. Okay, now he's going to explain. Now this is a very, very deep. I mean, the whole thing is crazy deep, but we're touching here on something very interesting, and there's a big question with us. So he goes, for example, now let me just ask you a question, yeah? Before we look at this, if I was to ask you guys, give me an example of taking something from Klipas Noiga and raising it up into Kedusha, what might you say? Good. Okay, so that's what Michael just picked up his iPad thing, which is Klipas Noiga, according to most of us. And he's using it to take notes in a Shir Torah. And obviously the Kedusha in that, the Nitzitz Kedusha in that object goes back into Kedusha. That's what I would have thought to have said. Or the table, or the book, or all the different things, the esrog, the tzitzis, the tefillin, the all of the tefillin, yeah?
Kosher food.
So,
Kosher food.
your food. What?
Kosher. Yeah.
Kosher food. So now listen to what the Rebbe says. He really, I mean, think about this, because what I would have said what Michael just said personally, yeah. But listen to the direction he goes, and it's very it's very purposeful. Kagon, for example, what's the example of raising up something from Klipas Noiga to Kedusha? For example, ha'oichel bisra shmeina desoira. He eats fatty food, fatty meat from a shore. Yeah, and he drinks spiced wine. Lahachiv datoi laHashem, to open up his mind to Hashem and to his Torah. As Rava said, that he would drink fine wine, etc., that it would open up his mind so that he could learn. Or Bishvil Kedei L'Payim Mitzvahs Oineg Shabbos V'Yom Tov, or that he can be Makayim the mitzvah of Oineg Shabbos, of having pleasure on Shabbos and Yom Tov. In this case, Nizbara, it is selected the chiyas of the flation of the wine, Shahai Nishba Maklipas Noiga, that was Nishba from Klipa, that was receiving its energy from Klipas Noiga, V'oile la Hashem ka'oile uka korban, and it goes up to Hashem like an oile offering, like a burnt offering, and like a sacrifice. He goes on, V'chein ha'oime milsa b'dechidusa, b'dechusa, slicha, V'chein ha'oime milsa b'dechusa, Lefakech datoi l'smech liboy laHashem l'srasoi l'avoidasoi, or speaking a jovial word, joking around a little bit, to open up his das and to make him happy, make his heart happy in Hashem and in his Torah and his avodah. Shetzrichim liyois b'simcha, because we need to serve Hashem. You need to be b'simcha. It's a prerequisite. The Kamosha Asa Rabba, the Talmidah, like Rabba again. He brings Rava again to his students. That he would make a joke, and then the Rabbanan would be besimcha. The people who are listening to him, his students, would be besimcha. You hear that curveball? Like, he brought in the Indian of eating oineg. Oineg l'shem, opening up your mind to serve Hashem. But sometimes you're just like, your whole body's all tensed up and you need like a rugelach or a bar of chocolate or a can of Coke or something like that. It's almost essential to like open your, to stop you feeling how you're feeling. You wouldn't think to mention that. And then what about eating fine foods on Shabbos Yom Tov? That's maybe more you would think about. And then the idea of cracking a joke, the Indian of elevating a joke to the Ribono Shel Olam. Again, these are Indian of Oineg, Inyane Oineg. That's really the ultimate ascent that the Klipas Noiga gets, is when you raise up your Oineg to Hashem. That is literally the ultimate aliyah that the klipa gets. So the klipa for sure gets an aliyah when you shake lulav and esrog. The klipa sure gets an aliyah when you wear the tefillin made of leather. The klipa sure gets an aliyah when you wear the cotton of your tzitzis, etc., or when you use the graphite of your iPad for your notes in the Shir Torah. But the ultimate aliyah of the Torah, the ultimate aliyah of klipa, is bringing your pleasure to the Ribono Shel Olam. That is the why. Why is that the ultimate aliyah of the klipa?
It's between us and Goyim.
Why?
Because they don't have the connection. Their whole tachlis is enjoyment, but without making the connection.
So Eliezer said there's a difference between us and Umos Olam, because they don't have they don't have a kesher. What they can't.
They don't make, like you said in that you bris the student that like the difference is the high thing and the low thing.
They connect the Yehuda Tatar.
Right.
So to say, I think to say it more practically, I think you're onto it. To say it more practically, without getting into the Umas Oilam, is that our pleasure is the one thing that is mutter that causes everything that's asa. The leather, the leather of the cow, yeah, for tefillin, that never does anything that's asa. It's just leather of a cow. So when you wear tefillin, you raise that up. But your pleasure is the source of every single one of your aveiros. There's also the inyan of a lack of yediyah, but then it's not a real aveiro, it's shogeg. It's not a, it's when you didn't know. There is an inyan of ignorance. But forget that. The shoresh of all aveiros is our pleasure. Imagine if whenever your pleasure said something to you, you were able to laugh it off and say, well, I'm not going to listen to you. Everything bad we do is because of our pleasure. That's called avodah zarah. That's our sense of self. Without it, it's not a sense of self, it's our sense of self overwhelming God's self. That's what our pleasure does. See, the fact that you've got a sense of self, that's just because you're a nivra, you're a human being with an ego. But the fact that we have the ability to go against the Rabbeinu Sholem for our own pleasure, our sense of self doesn't mean that we're going to go against the Rabbeinu Sholem. Just means you've got a sense of self. I could be over the Shem with a sense of self. But it's our pleasure coupled with our sense of self that is the lowest of all creation. So that's why the Rebbe brings us over here. That's the ultimate aliyah of the Klippa. Is everyone with me on that? You get that? Yeah, it's clear?
Can I just propose a poshut shot?
Yeah, please.
He doesn't bring the example of just eating so you can go to shul and have energy to learn. Because
that's what you would think would be, if he would talk about eating, you would think he would mention that. That's the point.
No, but he's saying a bigger chiddush, because there you're doing it for survival. And when you go to learn, it's megala that your survival is all in order to do avodas Hashem.
Is that an
when you eat it for the pleasure, that's a chiddush. It's a bigger chiddush.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're saying this, you're complimenting what I'm saying. You're saying the flip side of the two sides of the same coin. You can even be male you're just putting a dagesh on the other side. You can even be male your oineg. That really your oineg, like you're thinking, how can you be male your oineg? How can you raise your oineg? Your oineg is the source of all avera. How could you be male your oineg to Hashem? And the Rebbe says, by eating something nice to open up your mind, by Sudas Yom Tov, by a witty, quick word.
So that it's like they say, tzaddikim, one level is eating so I can serve Hashem, whereas by tzaddikim, like their eating is avodas Hashem.
Eliezer said that by the tzaddikim, by us, there's the eating is al manas to serve Hashem, as a means to an end. But by the tzaddikim, the eating is the avodas Hashem. But that's
like taking the pleasure, just
yeah. But I'm not sure if I don't think he's actually saying that here. I don't know if he's saying that here. I think he's not actually saying that here. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, now this is going to get a little stark, and I'll just give you a warning now. This sefer is one of the most positive sfarim that I've ever read in my life. But now for the next couple of prakim from here onwards, it gets a little bit stark, okay? Quite stark, so just be warned. Okay. V'chein, slicha. Me Shahu, we're 7 lines up. First one line is de Chusa. Okay, Ach. Me Shahu bezoile basa v'soive yain. He fresses on meat and he guzzles wine. Lemalos tivas gufoi v'nafshe bahamis, to fulfill the taiva of his body and his animal soul. Shehu bechinas, this is like in brackets. Shehu bechinas yesoid hamayim me'abi yesoid as a roim shebash me'menim midas taiva. That is, it's dafka the element of water in his soul that is all about tivas. That through this gluttonous behavior, this selfish indulgence, the kedusha, the chias in the flesh and in the meat and in the wine, shebekirboy v'nichlal, shebekirboy, that's in it, v'nichlal lefisha, it becomes absorbed. These words are very important. Lefisha, temporarily, bara gamu, in the exclusive evil, shebeshloish klips tameas, in the 3 unholy kleepers. And his body becomes like a chariot, lefisha, temporarily, for this tumah. So just like we know that your hand is nullified to you. So you could say that your hand is a chariot for you. It just does what you want. You can pick up your thing, you can flick this, you can play the piano. Your hand becomes a chariot for you. So whenever somebody becomes subjugated to X, they become a chariot to X. So when you're giving tzedakah, which is a mitzvah, your hand, and by way of that, your entire goof, is becoming a chariot, a markava, a chariot for Hashem, for Kedusha. And he just said the opposite here. When a person is involved in gluttony for himself, he's not even talking about an avera. He's talking about selfish gluttony. Yeah, then lefisha, yeah, temporarily, while he's involved in that selfishness, he becomes a conduit, a chariot for the Klippas of Timaeus, for the opposite of Hashem, for the opposite of Hashem. It becomes like his body becomes a garment and a chariot temporarily, until he does tshuva. And he returns to Hashem and his avodah. What does it mean, tshuva? In this case, tshuva does not mean that you tear your clothes and you scream on the floor. Yeah, tshuva means you pull yourself together, you dust yourself off, and you get back to avodas Hashem. Then that energy that you consumed in a selfish, gluttonous, selfish way is available to Kedusha. So now you turn around and you're like, wow, I just ate like a pig. Okay, let's just pull ourselves together and let's start serving Hashem again, whether that means playing with my kids in a holy way, or giving some tzedakah, or learning Torah, or davening, or whatever mitzvah you can link it to, or preparation for a mitzvah you can link it to. That's the tshuva. That's enough.
Or at that same moment, that same food, you can now try to mechaben.
Not once you've eaten that well.
No, I'm saying you keep continuing to eat. Okay, whoa, I gotta hold myself. I'm gonna now try to continue to eat.
Well, that would probably mean that you wouldn't be eating if you're eating it. So if you're eating it the same taiva.
Yeah, but I'm saying in the middle of the eating, he has this realizes, whoa, I'm like not doing the right thing.
Oh, then okay, but then you're not eating.
So I
hear what you're saying. You're using the bad eating to bring you back to. Right. I hear what you're saying. You're using your bad act of eating selfishly to bring you back to the right. So he's actually going to say that actually in different words, but basically the same thing. Kufi key. So he explains how that works. Key. Because it was kosher meat and it was permissible meat and kosher wine. Therefore, it can be redeemed and it can return and go back up in tshuva to avodas Hashem. Shezeu lashon heta umuta. Everyone knows that things that are mutter are called things that are permissible. Sorry, are called mutter. Mutar, like we say in the morning, mutar asurim. Matir asurim. To be matir asurim means to release the bound. To be matir, that's one of the malachas. There's kosher, which is with a kuf, not with a kaf. Kosher and matir. Matir is to release. So when something's matir and mutar, it means it's not bound, it's not tied down. That's what he says here. Loshen heta umutar. Koloi meshe'enu kashur v'asur. See, an asur means bound down. When someone's asur, when something's like a beit asurim is a jail, it means you're tied down. So something that's asur means it's bound down, tied to the chitzonim, tied to the klipas tameus, and something that's mutter means it's not bound down. It's available, even though it can go both ways. So when we eat and we're enjoying it for ourselves, for selfish purposes, that's not the worst thing in the world at all, because in fact, you could say it like this: like when you're eating and you're enjoying your food, then you're in a level of simcha. It's giving you a level of simcha. It's not the best thing that you're doing right now because you're doing it for yourself. You're enjoying it and you're into yourself. Okay, but it's giving you simcha. And the minute you finished eating, now you get back to work. Get back to the avodah. Get back to what we're here to do. And then that's the whole thing comes back up. And you can even say that simcha that you were experiencing while you were fressing away, that's also part of the avodah. So it's not so much our avodah to be thinking about eating not l'shem enjoyment. It's not really it's not practical for most of us. It's really not. Like you can walk away from this feeling relaxed and peaceful, knowing that enjoy your food, eat things that you like, make sure it's keeping you in a good headspace. And then when you finish eating, you're back into your avodah. Yeah, if you can really be working on, not eating the shame enjoyment. Yeah, that's not really practical for nearly any of us. Very, very few people are shaykh to that. So the Rebbe is really giving us he's giving us, I don't want to say it's a heta, but he's just explaining that don't beat yourself up. Eat, enjoy, and then just make sure that your whole life is dedicated to avodas Hashem.
So would your kavana?
Wait, say again, sorry.
Would your kavana, when you're doing it, be considered the chariot?
What do you mean?
So, like, you're saying that, the different things are a chariot for whatever direction you're going.
Oh no!
So would a person's kavana be their chariot? Like if you have kavana when you're eating, that you're eating, to help serve Hashem when you're eating it, or you're enjoying eating on Shabbos, you're having Oneg Shabbos because you're commanded to have Oneg Shabbos. Would that be what we're talking about here, or not necessarily?
Well, the kavana means, for example, you wouldn't be eating for pleasure in the week unless you need to open your mind. Otherwise, you'll be eating for the energy. This is the point. So when you're eating the shame pleasure in the week, that kavana means that you're enjoying yourself. You're doing it for yourself. It's about you. Okay. Then you become a chariot for klipas tameus. Not the kavana. The kavana is what causes you. That's you become a chariot to the kavana. So when the kavana is mitzvah, now you're a chariot to mitzvah. You're a chariot to Hashem. And that probably wouldn't involve eating for pleasure. That wouldn't involve eating pleasure. However, maybe you could tie in our generation where we have become so addicted to pleasure, and to deny ourselves pleasure would probably cause us to get grumpy and to throw in the towel or get angry with our wives, etc. You could maybe say that that's maybe the inyan of Rava eating l'fachech dato, to open up his mind to serve Hashem. Maybe you could say that. I don't know. I don't want to say that, but maybe you could. But maybe that's a very, very plausible thing to say. But you become a chariot to the kavana. That's really a way of saying it. That's really the way of saying it. So if the kavana is me, then that is the klipos tameas. This is the whole message that I'm trying to give over the whole time. This illusionary sense of self that we worship, is the opposite of God. That's saying there's God and me. That's called avodah zarah. We're trying to let go of that. It's like everyone's like, oh, Bittul is like, oh, you're just a schmutter and you're nothing and you're like the scum under my nails and it's so negative, and so it's not that at all. It just means that you become a chariot for God as opposed to a chariot for an illusion, for the opposite of Hashem. So
if the Danishes or the Thursday night chillin' get people to come to the shir, so it could be that that's a chelik of the mitzvah, no?
100%, absolutely. For them,
Even if their kavanah is to press, but it got them to come.
The whole thing is, so this is what we're learning here, is we're learning like we're learning the edges, but you put it all together, because obviously there's, when you sit down to eat a meal, in the week, it's like what, 20 minutes, half an hour, however long it takes. You go through a whole, plethora of different experiences through that, while you're eating it. So it's very nuanced and whatever, but the whole thing is the whole gisha of your life. Just get it straight while you're here. This is it. It's, you don't like, people ask these very nuanced, nitpicky questions, which are great and they're fun and it's Torah and it's Kodesh Kadoshim, but just get yourself aligned with why you got created. That's it. You're not here for anything else other than to serve Hashem. Just get that deeper and deeper. Talk to people about it. Think about it. Question it. Learn about it. Write it up. Wherever you could just be immersed in why am I here, again and again and again, and it just gets it deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into you. And all of this stuff just happens. We're just learning about this. Is just another way of understanding why am I here. I didn't get created for myself. I got created to serve the Ribono Shel Olam. What does it say? The final message of Pirkei Avos, which is a little bit of a steer to everything we learn. This is just Pirkei Avos. Kol ma sheba Kodesh Baruch Hu ba'olamoi. Everything that Hashem created in His world, which includes me, loy roi ela lichvoidoi. It was only created for His covered. I'm not here for me. I'm here for Him. That's what the Mishnah says. Pasha, as clear as day. There he says, it's even highlighted for us all. Kol ma sheba Kodesh Baruch Hu ba'olamoi loy ba ela lichvoidoi. You got created to serve Him. So if you're doing something that isn't bringing cover to the Ribono Shel Olam, then you have to reassess the situation and change it and make sure that you are bringing cover to the Ribono Shel Olam in every single situation, whether that means opening the door for that person who came before you, biting your tongue and not saying that extra thing that you wanted to say that you shouldn't say, not eating that extra thing, doing that extra hidu in the mitzvah, holding back from, I don't want to say, but I'll give hizuk to people maybe, is holding back bodily functions that you're not allowed to do when you're wearing tefillin, That's a tremendous Kiddush Hashem. When you hold back from letting go of excess wind while you're wearing tefillin, No one knows about that. That's just between you and the Rabboni Shalom. Yeah, going in a mikveh and not, again, not doing something like that again. Yeah, those things are huge. I got created for your covered because no one knows about that. It's nowhere. No one knows about it. Mamash. That's what one I heard a tzaddik say. B'chedrei chedarim, b'makom she'eino ish, yishtadol liyos ish. What does that mean? In a place where there's no men, strive to be a man. In a place where there's no one, where you're by yourself, that's when you're mamash megala, the covered shemayim mamash. Mamash.
Tiyulim with the family.
What?
Tiyulim with the
In everything, tiyulim with the family, 100%. Okay, so now it gets a little bit negative, so to speak, but it's on us to go up. Okay, so you can when we're involved in things that are permissible, but for ourselves, for completely selfish reasons, then it's mutter. Loshen heta umutter kloimer shenu kasher v'asa b'dei chitzonim. It's not bound down within the klipa in the chitzonim. Yeah, shlo yochol lachzor lalois laHashem. That means it's able to go back to Hashem. We'll go a little longer. I just want to mention this idea of chitzonim. Yeah, and I'm going to tell you a chiddush I've never told anyone before that I think about a lot actually. Why is it called chitzonim? There's pneumius and chitzonius. Everything's about deep. Hashem wants you to be deep. He doesn't want you to be superficial. Yeah, so the klipa, the whole inyan of the klipa is it's external, it's chitzonim. So I'm just going to, does anyone know what the vanishing point is in art? Gabriel probably does, I'm sure. So when you look at a road, yeah, when you look at a road, you see it vanish, it goes into a triangle. Yeah, 1 minute. I'm going to show, this is worth seeing because I've never told this to anyone, but I think about it a lot. 1 minute. Vanishing point. I'm trying to put up a picture here and show you. Here we go. That's nice. I'm just going to share my screen a moment. Oh, that didn't work. And I'm just going to bring it in from here. Oh, let's look at this one. Why is that not working? That's annoying. Can everyone see this picture? It's very strange. Why is everything going like that? Oh, here we go. This should work. It's taking so long to get a full-size picture. Excuse me. I just need to get this to fit. It's worth seeing because you'll appreciate this. What is it? What's going on here? Okay, look, everyone can see this, yeah? So look, this is a phenomena in art that people don't, I've never heard people question why it is, but in every picture, you'll see that you end up, if there's depth through perspective, you end up with what's called leading lines. Basically, they go to a vanishing point. They all end up going to the same place. Yeah, you see that all these lines, they all get to the same singular point. Okay, what's that? What does that tell us? Like philosophy, what's that about? And I think this is the lesson, is that when you look at this world with the depth, it always points back to a singularity. When you look at the world and you don't take it at face value, you go in, it always goes back to a singularity. And I think that's my, I love that idea. Oh, 1 minute.
Something called 2-point perspective.
That's if there's two places, Beseda. Okay. I knew you were going to say something like that. But anyway, when we look at this world with the depth, when we're trying to be marmit, when we're trying to be go in, it always points back to the Ribono Shel Olam. It's only the chetzonim that conceal Hashem. Only the superficial that conceals Hashem. But whenever we go deep, we always find the Ribono Shel Olam every time. Let's just finish off here. Yeah, Ruck. Now this is what happens once we've done this. Once we indulged for selfish purposes, then we did tshuva, so to speak, and we brought it back. Ruck, however, sheheshimu mimenu nisha'a beguf. There's a reshima that lingers, that stays in the goof. A reshima. How's a reshima?
Residue.
A what?
Residue.
A residue, thank you. There's like a residue that lingers over in the goof, in the body. And that is the reason why the body needs to go through chibut hakeva, that we'll explain later on. Now, I think chibut hakeva, although I always translated it as the rotting in the grave, it's actually like means a kind of beating. Yeah, it's like I don't know what takes place, but it's definitely to do with the disintegration of the body, and that's the reason why the tzaddikim apparently remain untouched when they go into the ground. You could what's the word, exhume them, I think is the word, that you could take their body out of the ground, and if they were real tzaddik, they would be completely intact. Right. And that is the idea of being in having indulged in pleasures for their own sake. We could talk about that quite a lot, but I think we'll leave it here. Okay, shkoyach should be zocha to live our lives the shem shemaim. And just I always mention this from Rav Manis, very important idea. Like what we just said is living your life l'shem shemaim doesn't mean this crazy intensity of like everything's about God, and I'm like, it means your life is about God. Yeah, not like you're every single second you're eating, thinking, I'm doing this to the Shema, I'm doing this to the Shema. Or I'm with my kids and it's all about God. It's only about bringing my children to Torah and mitzvahs. It's just you should be about God. Your whole life should be directed to the Ribono Shel Olam, and then all of this other stuff is ma'el of it. It's automatically taken back to Hashem. So that's our bracha. Our bracha is that we should get this absolutely crystal clear in our mind that we got created for His covered, and then all of this technical stuff that we're learning about here just gets taken care of automatically. B'ezrat Hashem. Okay,
Thank you so much.
I had a kiddush yesterday.